right, begin.
What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys wake up happy and healthy this morning. That's the most important thing. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask you guys a favor. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit that like button and also smash that share button so we can push this video through the algorithm and hopefully get this channel to where it needs to be. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and dive face first into the drama. And I want to talk about these shocking allegations that have surfaced in regards to Wendy Williams. So it's being reported by thesun.com that back in 2020, when the pandemic set in and Wendy had to do all of her shows from home, that basically Wendy would get drunk and just take it all off, right? Now, of course, all of that was edited out, but still, behind the scenes, she was making her staff feel uncomfortable by just taking everything off, and she's in her own home and they're just looking at her like she's crazy. Now, before we go any further, I do want to make this point. So about 3 months ago, I did a video and I told you that I had a source, and this particular source was in the game, especially in the 90s, in the R&B sector, and they had told me that there have been some rumors that Wendy would get drunk and just bust out of her apartment with nothing on and just run down the hallway, right? Now, in the comment section of that particular video, I had a lot of people in the comments saying that I was lying for views, saying that I was making things up, that it wasn't true that Wendy would bust out of her apartment in nothing but her drawers and girdle on, right? And so a lot of people just doubted the information that I had. So right now, what I want to do is let's go ahead and take this flashback real quick. And then on top of that, she actually caught a breakthrough case of the C word. And so initially, the premiere of season 13 was supposed to air back on September the 20th. They pushed it back to October the 4th because of the health concerns of Wendy, and also she had some mental health issues as well, right? So that's a 2-week span. Given the nature and the circumstances of Wendy's health and psychological stability, it would behoove you to understand that this woman needs more than 2 weeks to gather herself. And especially if the rumor is true that when the NYPD showed up to help Wendy because there was a call placed saying that Wendy needed some type of psychological aid, that initially what prompted the phone call to get some help for Wendy was the fact that Wendy had done busted out of her front door in nothing but her girdle and drawers.
God is ready to be played.
I told you so.
Just want to say, I told you so to a lot of people. I told you.
Now, all I have to say is thesun.com is reporting the same thing that I heard 3 months ago. So anyway, that's the thing. I'm not flexing. I'm just letting you know that when I come to my platform, I try to do my best to keep it 100% honest. So anyway, let's go ahead and read in depth in regards to what they had to say about Wendy Williams. So I just want to let you guys know up front that I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot of things, so it's imperative that you guys read with me so you can get the gist of everything that I'm saying. So it says here, Wendy Williams became inebriated and stripped blanket on the chaotic at-home set of her talk show in 2020, 1 year before her hospitalization for psychiatric issues, The Sun can exclusively report. In the early months of the pandemic, like many other talk shows, Wendy brought the Wendy Williams Show tapings and her audience inside her $4.5 million New York City penthouse apartment in an effort to keep her daily program on the air. But Wendy's fans quickly became concerned, commenting that she was acting erratic on screen. The host frequently appeared on TV dressed in only a robe, and on more than one occasion, she began a segment sobbing uncontrollably. While Wendy viewers turned to their favorite host for her signature dramatics, what was happening during lockdown at her swanky New York City home appeared to have been something more troubling. Multiple sources confirmed to The Sun the daytime presenter had been drinking heavily since her time at her Queens, New York sober house following the split from her husband Kevin Hunter in 2019. In May 2020, the host hit a particularly rough spot with her addiction issues, the insider said. Just before the host team claimed she was hospitalized for Graves' disease that month, Wendy experienced a disturbing incident with a handful of people present as she was working from home. According to sources, Wendy's manager was summoned to her penthouse apartment after she appeared unwell during a Zoom show taping earlier in the week. Her manager and a small group of confidants arrived to the host's home to lend support to the struggling talk show queen. According to multiple sources, Wendy had stripped blanket in her room and was touching herself in an intimate manner while shouting vulgar comments. The eyewitnesses looked on in horror and immediately called healthcare workers. After medical personnel arrived at her home, Wendy allegedly grew more aggressive. The host was eventually taken to the hospital where she would remain for weeks. Reps for Wendy and the Wendy Williams Show did not respond to the Sun's multiple requests for comment. Any mentions of the show's at-home tapings have been wiped from the Wendy Williams Show Instagram account. The majority of people who witnessed what happened that day appear to have been cut out of Wendy's life. As one person familiar with the incident said, Wendy clearly does not want to associate with anybody who was there that day. A second show source claimed, "Everyone knows not to get too close to Wendy. It will backfire, and when it does, you'll get burned." In an explosive federal lawsuit viewed by The Sun, a woman accused Wendy and then husband Kevin of SA and abusive retaliatory behavior in 2008. Nicole Spence, who worked closely with Wendy as the talent booker for the host's now defunct radio show, The Wendy Williams Experience, laid out a litany of allegations, which she claimed she was subjected to in her work environment. In her complaint, Nicole claimed that she was such an integral part of the show's success that she was placed inside of Wendy's office. Being in Wendy's inner circle became a problem for Nicole, who alleged that when she became uncomfortable with the behavior she witnessed from both Wendy and Kevin and spoke out about it, the pair retaliated against her. Nicole also claimed that Wendy had intimidated fellow employees at the station WBLS. In the complaint, Nicole alleged that the defendant Williams lacked respect for proper workplace conduct is demonstrated by the fact that she has engaged in quid pro quo SA with a male subordinate who repeatedly complained to Ms. Spence that he had to have intimate relationships with Wendy out of fear that he would lose his job if he refused to do so.
I mean, I'm shocked.
Now, I could keep reading, but let me tell you, this report goes on and on and on, so I'm going to stop it right there and just break some things down. So the same guy that confided in Ms. Spence about Wendy Williams actually saying, "Hey, if you're not intimate with me, you're going to lose your job," he also told Ms. Nicole Spence that he was actually forced, right, by Wendy to be on the phone and listen to Wendy while she climaxed. Now, here's a photo of Nicole Spence, and she's adamant that she was a target of SA by Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter. Now, after Nicole Spence spoke out about it, of course, there was some retaliation. Wendy moved her office or moved her desk far away from her, and she didn't really want to work with Miss Spence anymore. She even called her to be off of the broadcast and things of that nature. And so basically she wouldn't, meet any guests that Nicole Spence actually booked for her. And so this was all out of retaliation because Miss Spence actually spoke up against, Wendy's then husband, Kevin Hunter. And on top of that, when I did my research on this situation, it's evident that TMZ actually reported on this story back in 2008. And from the looks of things, Wendy was in on this. She wanted Nicole Spence to be intimate with her husband, Kevin. So I don't understand why Wendy is so shocked that Kevin was going around sleeping with everybody that he wanted to and that he had a side chick in Sharina and had a baby. You enabled this behavior within your husband because you was down with it from the get-go. Now, eventually Nicole got fired, right? And so basically, the situation did go to court, but Wendy or Kevin weren't proven or disproven that these situations did take place. And so Wendy and Kevin elected to actually handle this out of court. So I'm pretty sure that they paid Nicole off just to go somewhere and just hide and be quiet. Now, on top of that, right, DJ Booth, when he got fired a few years ago, he talked about some of these things that were going on. Do you guys remember that? So after DJ Booth was fired from the Wendy Williams Show and replaced with DJ Sus1, right here it says, after a fan on Instagram called for Wendy Williams to seriously get help, claiming her camp is simply watching her spiral, another fan suggested that's why DJ Booth left the show. And then he said, "Yep, exactly. It will all come out. Y'all have no idea what's really going on, and everyone there is afraid to speak, but because they don't want to lose their job. This is going to play out bad. I feel sorry for the workers and the victims. And so now that I look at things in its totality, I don't know if Wendy deserves another shot at having her own show. I really don't. I don't care about it anymore. I think that what's happening to Wendy is an act of karma. She's done a lot of wrong in her past and is finally catching up with her. So that's how I feel about the situation right now, because when you revisit those old stories and things of that nature and you look at how things are playing out now, you have to look at it and say, hey, you know, everybody is not lying about Wendy and the things that she has done to people, right? But anyway, I'm gonna let this go right here and let y'all have that in the comments. Drop down and let me know what you think about this whole entire video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll get with you in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Peace.